Hi everyone, welcome. I'm down here in my wormery, and I'm about to get to work on the system that you see here right behind me. It's the VermiBag Mini, and it's got red wiggler worms living in it. It's been 11 days since we last checked in on these little guys, and what I've got for them today is a pretty big treat. It's a very large portion of cantaloupe melon rinds. So I'm going to get the position of the camera situated so that it's peering down into the bag. I'll get the bag open, I'll get a glove on. So we'll regroup in a minute when we're ready to continue. So let's get to work. I'm not sure if it'll be necessary to do so again today like we did last time, but last time, and I think maybe even the time before, we gave these little guys a nice thorough shower. We collected up a whole bunch of this bedding type material that we collected, stacked it up, and then started soaking it, and then dispersing it and soaking the next layer down until this entire pile of collected bedding material had been thoroughly soaked. And I think on top of that, we had already, right underneath this feeding zone indicator, I thought we had positioned a feeding which was pretty well stocked with all kinds of juicy vegetables that had been frozen and that would very likely kick out a good bit of moisture as they thawed. And the other thing that we've got going down in here is a whole bunch of older objects that were placed in here quite some time ago. I'll identify them as I encounter them. This here, for example, is a gourd, one of those decorative little squash type pumpkin things that you see people decorating their homes with during the Halloween season. Sometimes I'm able to shake the contents of these things out, other times not. Other times I've even thought that perhaps it would be a good time to start crushing some of these larger objects to try to help them to the proverbial finish line. This other large object is a pumpkin stem. So I think we'll find a few chunks of gourd, a few chunks of pumpkin stem, and those are the sort of slow composting large objects that we've been encountering in this system. Check-in after check-in. I liked what I did last time too, so I came prepared to do it again, which was to actually take all these gourds and pumpkin stems and just remove them, get them out of our way so we can give the whole system a good aeration and inspection, and then return all those things when we're ready to feed. So I think we'll do the same again here today. So this is actually a chunk of gourd. Maybe it belongs over here with the rest of the gourds because this is another pumpkin stem. We'll keep it with the pumpkin stem. I could see here we also fed a banana recently, it seems. So you know what? Why don't we actually throw that banana right down into this gourd? So one thing I was trying to do here and there was to actually stuff these gourds with some stuff that would promote worm traffic. Somehow the worms just like getting into these sorts of things with or without any sort of motivation put out there by me. They just, I don't know, like I think they like the shelter of it or something. I'm not sure what it is about kind of hollow objects, but they do seem to like getting down into them. So the last video, I think, from when we last came in to feed this system, I think one of the comments I received was that it didn't seem like we had a huge number of worms occupying this system. And I mean, I think I just had the spreadsheet in front of me. In fact, I even took some notes that I thought maybe I would share with you. So let me grab that really quick. It's on the other end of the table. Luckily, I've always got my clean hand with which I can go grab something like this. My little information board, we already touched on the fact that it's been 11 days since the last check-in. But some of the other information on here was something I was alluding to earlier, was the estimated worm count, an estimate that we all came to at that number collectively by taking everyone's guesses, averaging them, and coming up with that number there. So 236 days in here. But when it was loaded in here 236 days ago, it was really just me emptying some existing worm composting buckets that I had going, 4 of them to be exact. So those systems didn't have their castings harvested either. We simply emptied the buckets into here, all 4 of them. That's how we ended up populating the system, but we also, as a result of doing it that way, we sort of pre-seeded this system with a whole lot of nice castings material down at the bottom. So it's for that reason I've been reluctant to ever dig much deeper than what you see me doing here, because I like the idea of keeping that stuff down there undisturbed and without stuff mixed into it, stuff that I might have tilled into it if I were to go plowing down that deep. So it's for that reason I try to limit how deep I dig and explore in this system. In the past I would have, possibly dug all the way to the bottom, up to my elbow, trying to see what else I can see. But here, in the interest of having some really nice castings at the end, I've been resisting that urge that my curiosity causes. It's not even an urge, it's just curiosity. So here and there, I keep bumping into little things. This is probably another piece of pumpkin stem, but you can see I've collected a good bit of large materials that are all expected to take a good long time before they break down. These are all just fragments of the same stuff. This to me seems like a fragment of pumpkin stem. This to me seems like a fragment of one of the gourds. And the stuff is really becoming super fragile, and that's why I also try to be a little bit delicate when I'm handling those large objects. Here too, I felt like I broke off a chip of this little pumpkin stem just by me rolling my thumb across it a moment ago. So sometimes I'm in the mood to let nature take its course and let these things break down without any assistance from me. Other times I do find a little bit of satisfaction in being able to take a piece of material which I know if it was fresh I'd be absolutely incapable of breaking it this way. But after the worm bin has had a chance to take a stab at breaking it down, the stuff becomes super fragile. Eventually it all becomes the same stuff, the stuff that you see scattered all over the place, all this lovely castings material. Here and there I'm still bumping into a piece of leftover food, but I believe once we open up a nice big spot, it's going to be time to restore everything that we dug out. But I'm continuously reminded at how much stuff we need to return back down into the feeding area, as well as the fairly large portion of food I had intended to give them today, and that still doesn't even account for the fact that I also want to supplement bedding. So I'm going to be putting in a good handful of bedding here too before we feed. So let me go grab my bedding supply, and then we'll get on to giving these little guys all that yummy melon I bought down here for them. Besides grabbing my bedding supply, since I was in the B section anyway, I went to the BTI jug over here. So I was reminded how I had gone around to all of my systems a few days ago, sort of treating them all with some of this BTI, mosquito dunks solution. I just saw a little flying insect. I don't know if it came out of here, if it just happened to be down here in my wormery by chance for whatever reason, but I believe when I went around treating all my systems with a little spray of this stuff, I might not have come in here, so I'm glad I remembered to do that. So I'm also glad to see that we didn't need to come in here with my squirt bottle in order to dampen things, because everything felt so nice, I mean, you saw there was plastic covers, there's a lot of things going on here to try to prevent the system from losing its moisture to evaporation. So I was glad to see that those things are, in effect, doing their job and helping the system stay nice and damp and cozy for the worms to be in. So, you see a number of worms hanging out here on this piece of gourd. Oh, this was the one that we were unable to empty, so there's a whole bunch of them probably hanging out down in there too. Oh, now I think we managed to empty the thing. I can see a few worms that still remained inside of it, so I don't know why, but for some reason I just do like the idea of aiming the openings in these pieces of gourd up and trying to place some nice fresh foods right over the opening so that worms end up going in there anyway, which I think they're going to be doing anyhow, but I figured if I can help, why not? Try to motivate the worms to continue to work the insides of these chunks of gourd. So kind of like that banana. Oh, I feel bad. I just threw a piece of frozen food on top of a worm in there. I thought I had shaken all of them out of there, but whatever. I think it'll be okay. Let's grab my bedding supply and perhaps sprinkle a little bit more in here, just as a nice foundation onto which we can rest today's fairly generous. Oops, I think I just broke another chunk of gourd over here. Let's just go ahead and give it to them all before I have second thoughts. It does seem like so much, but I figured if I made a big enough hole and then I spread this stuff all the way out to the very edges of the hole, then I could almost establish just a single layer of food and I wouldn't feel like I was putting in sort of too much. I think this system does actually have the capability to handle a nice, generous feeding. I think its estimate on how many worms occupy it are also probably pretty accurate. Even though the viewer who commented on thinking that this system seemed a little underpopulated or something like that, I forget what the exact comment suggested, but that was the basic gist of it. I sort of respectfully disagree. You know what? I had one other idea. I thought that since my bedding is here anyway, perhaps we can give this whole system a nice little top coating of bedding as well, because I've got my worm chow here and I thought it would be kind of nice to apply the worm chow, but do so in a way that sort of incorporates it with some nice surrounding materials too. So I'll bring in the worm chow now that we've sprinkled in some more bedding that I'm sure the worms are going to appreciate. And I wonder if the worm chow is just going to result in all of this top coating, all of this top coating bedding material getting gobbled up. So I'll be curious to see how this system progresses on to the next feeding. It shouldn't take long for them to work down all that melon over there. So I think we could probably come back in here in another 10 or 11 days. Maybe we'll see a nice worm party enjoying this bedding and worm chow and melon. Nah, I think 10 days from now this stuff's all going to be gone. Let's give them a little treat with some crushed eggshell here as grit, just in case they need any of that. And that should bring us to the finish here. So I got a few things I'll have to take care of getting covered up here and put away, but I'm not going to keep you around for that. That's boring. Before I go really quick, let me just say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.